and we will fill for a minute. Let's see what to talk about for the YouTube people. Oh my god, YouTube people, I've been playing FTL again. It's so good. It's absolutely brutal and hates you, but it's so good. I've gotten to the final boss like 3 times now and cannot even make a dent. No idea how to do it. It's frustrating, but in the best kind of way. For you two dorks, it's FTL faster than light. It's a roguelike spaceship like
And then
strategy and resource
you have to
management
do fix
game.
stuff, or else the ship kind of falls apart and stuff breaks, and then you die.
I mean, sure. Now Dirk seems too loud.
I don't know. Maybe it's just depending on my. Uh,
Nah. Oh well. That sounds familiar for FTL. Yeah, that's how it works. I lost a run earlier today because I hit 2 ships that sent mantis intruders onto my ship and killed like all my entire crew. I kept trying to like lock all the doors and vent all the oxygen so they would either die or teleport back. But because they were mantis and mantis do more combat damage, they broke through all the doors and then broke through all my crew. And they killed like 2 of my crew, and I jumped away and hit another mantis ship that sent 2 more intruders. So now I did manage to kill one of the first 2, but now there were 3 mantis on my ship, and I only had 3 crew members left. And meanwhile, they're just marching through my ship, blowing up systems, and I'm failing miserably at shooting at the ship. And yeah, we just died. And I was like, oh, well, that was nice. Thanks, game. Giant space bugs are the worst. Do you have any of those on your list, Brian?
Giant space bugs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, then. Well, that's good stuff for the people that watch on YouTube. Thank you. Hello. So now let's do the proper show. Here we go. Ow, jam. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is, hey, it's 2026.
Yep.
How's
made it.
about that happening?
Yay, we made it?
We survived. We survived another rotation around the sun.
Yep.
Yeah. 2026 already. It's the 7th. We're recording this on a Wednesday. I know, weird. But 2026 is already shaping up to be worse in every way. So awesome.
It hasn't been. It's only been a couple days. We just passed the 5-year anniversary of January 6th, and half the country pretended that nothing happened.
Yeah.
Great start, everybody. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a hell of a year, for war criminals and dictators. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about other stuff.
Sorry.
But shut up, Brian. So,
yeah.
Hello, I'm Chewy. And now Brian can talk.
What I was just trying to say is you mentioned war criminals and who?
Dictators.
And dictators, yes. What's an interesting Venn diagram of a circle you've drawn there. So, especially if you include politicians. Ooh, yeah, I know. Sick burns from Brian.
All right, please introduce yourself. Let's get away from the bad news.
Yes, Brian, lead rambler, tangent master of the group, and going askew is kind of my thing, but only so much. And yeah,
And I'm Dirk, the
I,
self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group, jumping in here before we dig ourselves any deeper a hole than we're already in.
no, dig up, stupid. This is
No, I'm
usually
trying
where
to
I
dig
would.
us tangential because I can't. We can always go down, and unfortunately, we're already deep enough. I don't know if we can dig ourselves out.
This is usually where I would interrupt Mike's intro, but I can't.
Yeah, Mike is not here yet. He will be joining us shortly, though. So this is not a Mikeless episode, just a Mikeless
No.
beginning. Because we're recording on Wednesday because reasons, and so Mike is
I'll
like, I
explain
got other
later.
stuff going on, and he's like, I'll have to be late. We're like, all right, be late. We don't care. We don't even like you, except we do like him and we miss him. Did that sound sincere? Do you think they bought it?
Yep.
Oh God, we're still live. So last year we did an episode on cryptids. You know, strange beings or creatures that exist outside of science. In other words, they're not real. Shut up. They're not real. I wish they were real. They are not. I went on a whole rant at the end of that about how I wish I could believe things that blatantly aren't true. I promise not to do that to that extent this episode. But
To that extent.
to that extent, yeah.
Nice qualifier.
Thank you. But Brian wanted to do another one. And he said, let's talk about aliens. And I was like, yeah. Because that's what I say when there's a good idea. Yeah.
It's
So,
true.
We're going to talk about aliens. So,
We are.
aliens are a strange thing because specifically how they've been represented in media was Brian's idea, but we're gonna expand on that a little bit. Aliens are like your catch-all because you have aliens that are basically just humans, but like with pointy ears or blue skin or whatever. And then you've got basically every other kind of anything you could even remotely think of. There's an alien for that.
There's humanoid aliens.
Mm-hmm. And then there's aliens that are not even close to humanoid. And truthfully, I'm wondering how many of that second category we will cover. And I really want to hear everybody else's takes on these and examples of these. Because I think, and this is just a very slight tangent, I promise it won't take long. We sometimes, even the most creative minds, have a hard time imagining things that are really truly foreign to us. You know, oh, what's something that's alien? What's something that's like us, but not quite? It's a little different. It's a lot harder for us to wrap around our minds around something that's completely foreign. No limbs, no eyes, maybe doesn't exist on this dimension, doesn't breathe. You know, the further we get from ourselves, the harder it is for us to imagine it. And yet, I know that there are examples in science fiction of truly alien species, and I'm hoping we dig into at least some of that.
But it's not only is it hard to imagine for the writer, but it's hard to write in such a way to be grokkable by your average audience.
True. Because the audience only has their own experience, and when you're a writer and you write a novel or a short story or even a screenplay, and you're like, there's a chair. Well, the reader is going to automatically think maybe they're going to all have the same basic idea, but somebody might think of a wooden chair, somebody might think of a throne, somebody might think of a toilet. And that's just in the realm of a chair. If you try, like you said, to grok, to really wrap your mind around and associate something with it, the further you are from something that people will recognize, the harder it will be for them to get there and see what you were wanting them to see. Yep.
Yeah. So I figure we would, to try to impose some sort of order onto such a massive chaotic thing, we would talk about the different kinds of potential alien encounters. Like,
Yes.
are they studying us? Are they completely disinterested in us and just happen to wander in? Are they trying to exterminate us? Or whatever. And just talk about how aliens of that flavor have been represented in media. So where do you want to start?
Well, some of the most interesting to talk about, or some of the I think the easiest to talk about, are some of the oh no, the worst case scenarios for humans. And I don't know if we want to start with something like that, because I'm sure Mike will hopefully have some really interesting uh, entries to that.
Look at
But
you making the assumption that Mike actually thought about this at all ahead of time. You're so cute.
I thought he said something like he did. But why don't we? There's so many examples of worst case scenario for humans that if you want, I'll go ahead and get us started. Let's say, let's start with the scenario that we are not on Earth. We are not bound to this planet or necessarily solar system. You can make that distinction. And the aliens we come across are either are unable to communicate with us or have no desire to communicate with us and simply exist to consume, and humans are at the short end of that stick, and we can figure out who has the advantage. Do we have the advantage intellectually, or do they overwhelm us? And I'm going to start with the single most obvious entry ever because it's in the name. Alien, Ridley Scott, and the Xenomorphs. I put them under this category. I have under here malicious, and under their goal, it is literally to eat. I admit I
They're
have not seen. Go
they're
ahead.
not they're not malicious. They're not targeting humanity.
I would say malicious from humanity's perspective. Although certain conglomerations would love to weaponize the things, but malicious as in maybe malicious would imply an intent, wouldn't it? So I don't know if
Yeah,
maybe that's an
they're the malicious in the same way that, like, a hungry lion is malicious. That
which yeah. So maybe so I'm using the wrong word there. But as
yeah,
far as motivation, it is not to cooperate, it is not to learn, it is not to build a society,
no,
it is to literally eat.
it's just to
So
reproduce.
Self motivated.
exactly.
Oh my
I have
god,
not
Dirk's
seen.
volume. Listeners, I apologize. I cannot get Dirk's volume regulated. He is jumping up and down and it's killing me. Like, you're at the same level that you were at when earlier when Aleph Cat in the chat said Dirk's quiet.
And then
Like,
I jumped up and was like, ah!
yeah, and now you sound normal again. I don't
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I apologize, listeners. I'll try and do better.
I'm keep messing with his volume and it keeps just spiking.
I
Anyway,
blame I blame the aliens.
I mean,
But
I'm not saying it was the aliens, but it was the aliens.
but
So okay, let's last in the chat just said xenomorphs are just space animals. So this is not a
yeah,
civilization that's out to get us. They're
correct.
just
Mm-hmm.
creatures that we have wandered into, and all they want to
Yeah.
do is reproduce.
Yeah. I will, and I want to clarify, I have not seen every piece of media from the Aliens franchise. I did not see Prometheus or any of those. So if I say anything wrong, please be like, Brian, you're wrong. But essentially, they reproduce usually through laying eggs, and then the face huggers actually then uh, come in contact with a biological organism, lay another sort of egg in that organism that turns into a chest burster, and then they grow up and they repeat the whole cycle.
Yeah.
We've seen from films like Alien 3, it was notable that the alien in Alien 3, the xenomorph, actually had took some of the characteristics of the dog from which it was quote unquote born, and it moves differently. It has a slightly different structure to it, which would definitely imply, and again, maybe somebody with more knowledge of the species could tell me, that the xenomorph does take some characteristics from the host,
Yeah.
which is kind of a fascinating concept because it's high speed evolution. You don't need to worry so much about the next generation of xenomorph being adaptable because wherever its host just came from, it's going to take some of that adaptability from it, at least in theory.
Yeah.
So,
The xenomorph in the xenomorphs in the first two movies were very humanoid
mhm.
because all of those came from humans, weird.
Yep.
And then in the third one it was a dog. At the end of Alien versus Predator, an alien chest burster popped out of a predator,
Yeah, the Predalien, I've heard it called.
and then
Yeah.
it opened its mouth and it had the chest burster opened its mouth and it had the weird mandible thing, and apparently that was the alien in AVP Requiem, but that movie was so bad that no one cares.
And I kind of had forgotten about that too. So, but you have a it's not so much a society as it's more like a hive of ants because there's a queen. Queen lays the eggs. Eggs then perpetuate the life cycle.
Yeah.
So you're right. It is essentially an alien. I put it under malicious, which again I'm going to change the title of that because in no way, shape, or function is this a species that we really want to encounter. In the movies, the only humans that actually encourage encounters with this species are ones that are like, we want to turn it into a weapon, which never works well for anybody because a creature that reproduces in this way and inevitably like is going to be if not malicious at least malignant to its hosts and is almost unkillable between its ferocity and the fact that it has acid for blood, along with apparently from birth a killer instinct. Uh, you're not gonna like housebreak those. You're just not going to. It's gonna be terrible on the rugs. It's not gonna work. So, and that's why every alien movie with that premise is we want to capture it. Oh no, we're all dead. And Ripley going like, "Gosh darn it, I just cleaned up this mess." So,
Yeah,
yeah,
you have to nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
it's true.
Yeah, so
Oh,
what else
so
do we
many
have in
quotes
the
from that movie.
category of like space animals?
Space, and I put consume, especially mindless. I'm gonna let somebody else talk because I just took one, but I have one or two other entries in this category.
Yeah, for some reason the obvious alien from Alien didn't enter into my brain as a
Well,
separate
you're
category. There's the Brood in Marvel Comics, which are just aliens with the serial numbers filed off.
I have three alien species on my lists from comics that I only have a basic understanding of them. So when we come to them, I want clarification on if I have these guys right or not. But what I don't think I'm familiar with the Brood. So what do they do?
Uh, they're xenomorphs with the serial numbers filed off. Like that was not a joke. They're literally
Okay.
just the xenomorphs, but copy my homework but change it a little bit so they don't know.
Do
They
they?
have a
Do
queen.
they?
They kidnap things, and I don't think they do the alien face hugger or whatever. They kidnap they kidnap things and then implant brood into them, and I think they turn into the brood. I don't know. The
So
X Men always managed to
so
fight them off before anybody got.
so it's um so you don't have face huggers because that really would be probably a step too far to be like, hey, look at that. But they kidnap and impregnate, or well, or like you said, I guess we just don't really know how they do it. So
Let's see here. They're insectoid, yeah. Apparently, they attacked ancient Egypt in 2620 BC.
oh, did they build the pyramids?
I kind of doubt that because they're bugs.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind because they're literally just not quite. They're not xenomorphs. Aleph Cat said Tyrannids are heavily inspired by Alien. Now, what are Tyrannids? Is that Warhammer?
Never played Warhammer.
It is Warhammer. Oh, these things, yeah. I don't actually know anything about Warhammer, so I'll just go, oh, okay, cool.
Well, I'm gonna send one to the guys of when we talk about animal type of aliens, the shadows from the Babylon 5 series.
Okay. I have not seen Babylon 5, so you'll have to explain what they are.
So
They look. Go ahead.
they're like arachnid almost in the way they are, but so in the show there are um, obviously like so the universe is very very old, and with that in mind, life potentially could have started much longer ago than where we are now. And there are ancient races in the galaxy, and uh, one of those races is the Shadows. Their
Okay.
philosophical belief is progress comes through conflict. So when you were talking about maliciousness, their whole shtick is starting wars, starting conflicts, so that it causes species, aliens, and all that to have to develop, adapt, evolve in order to meet the conflicts that they are thrown into. And so, in doing so, they become better, they become greater than what they were originally. And so, that's their philosophical thought. Um, and so, like I said, they tend to align themselves with alien races, and humans are one of the groups that they align themselves with the thought of, hey, this people over here are saying bad things about you. What are you going to do about it? And then starting wars and so on. So it's not that they are themselves malicious, as in we're going to beat you up. It's they're the antagonist who's sort of getting everybody to fight each other.
Gotcha.
Um, but like
Why
I said,
why
they're
should why should we get our hands dirty when everybody else can just do it for us?
right. And they have super advanced ships that they can go in and do something, which then the race that they're allied with can then come in and sort of sweep up and take everything and help keep the conflict going. What's kind of cool about them is they are also organic in how their ships interact. So, like our ships are metal, their ships are organic. So you can literally bond with the ship itself. The ship adapts to space. The ship can create air bubbles inside of it. you can telepathically interact with the ship. It's all these really cool things that deal with it, and the ship can also pull um, from its own, like it can create its own energy reserve, so it can attack ships, and they come in different shapes and sizes and everything. Like the shadow ships come in different shapes and sizes, and abilities, but they're also very big, very powerful. Their beams essentially are just like laser cutting beams that are used to just like surgically scalp ships. So they don't like shoot a missile that blows up. It's just they fire a beam that just cuts through like a hot knife through things. So
Okay.
that's the one group that I point out with this, that we're talking about like animalistic ones. There's that.
It's interesting that you talk about this because it sounds like they're making deliberate choices. Like when we talk about the xenomorphs, as Chewie put it, I think somebody in chat, they're animals. They don't really have they have the queen clearly shows a thought process of, oh, don't kill my babies. But otherwise they just act on instinct. But you mentioned the shadow use that they have a doctrine, the whole, progress through conflict, which sounds like a higher thought process. I had a subcategory for um, definitely malicious aliens that act through others, and or try to manipulate essentially from the shadows. And I'm going to show my, well, you know what? I was going to move on to that, but I don't know if we have anything else that needs to go in the animal or mindless category. I only played one of the Halo games the whole way through, but would the Flood do they have a directive, or do they just consume and eat and grow?
Um, the was it the Overmind or Hive Mind
Mind?
essentially is the one that directs them, and I think their main thing is, again, is to feed. They are out to acquire organic matter and then turn themselves into the flood. So that like there's, but the hive or the overmind or whatever it is, that's the the plant looky thing in the second Halo game, um, is able to think on its own. It's able to rationalize. It's able to make plans and make quick buddies and truces and stuff. Because like there's the one part where the flood actually like doesn't attack you while you're going after high charity, and uh, yeah, so like the flood listens to whoever is telling them what to do. But there is
But
a higher think. There is a higher form that does give them orders. But as soon as that hive mind says, "Okay, we're done. Go after this," they like a switch. They turn right on whoever they were told, to go attack now.
the individual the individual members are not making this decision. It's the hive mind essentially. Is that right?
Correct.
So, okay.
Weird.
And I don't remember what that one was called. But I want to say it's not the Overmind, but like
I
the
feel like
the
it was grave mind, but
Grave Mind. That's what it was.
I played a little bit of 2, but not the whole way.
Grave
So,
Mind. Yes,
I
Grave Mind is the correct one. Yes.
I did not know
Chewy,
that.
other entries into this category, or should we?
Chat mentions the the book The Midwich Cuckoos, or the movies The Village of the Damned. They were
Ah,
parasitic aliens that got people pregnant. So that's nice.
what
The
about?
There were
Go ahead.
triffids. You, hang on a minute, I'm reading chat. There
Yeah,
were
please go ahead.
triffids from the classic, I want to say 50s horror movie Night of the Triffids. They were alien plants. That's not weird at all. Aleph Cat mentioned one I want to talk about. The bugs in Starship Troopers are
I had
very
that.
alien animal. And I went, are they though? Because
Thank
they
you.
they like shot at us and had space, and then I thought about it and I'm like, no, that's just the propaganda that the government gave. I think they really were just bugs.
Well, so it's interesting, and I'm honestly they were on my list for motivation, actually extermination, where they had a higher thinking process because some of the bugs do have a thought process, but I suppose kind of like some of Dirk's examples, like the flood, they're just acting on a higher, they're acting on orders from a higher organism, the brain bug. And
Right.
the movie suggests that it is just propaganda, but then when they invade Klondathu, the bug homeworld, they make a point of saying, "Oh, we're just going to land some troops and bust them up. It'll be great." And it turns out that the bugs actually prepared a defense, and when they were shooting their energy spore or whatever into orbit, it was calculated in such a way that it actually brought down several of their ships. So it's not clear from the movie how much is the government being like, yeah, we need to kill the bugs, and it's all a pretext, and how much of it is, yeah, we need to kill the bugs, and the bugs are actually, haha, they bought it, now let's wipe them out. So,
I'm erring on the side of the bugs in Starship Troopers is similar to how the flood works, because the brain bugs are the ones who are kind of moving around the pieces and uh, strategically moving things on the bug side. And I don't know if there's a better term for all that. I'm not into the Starship Trooper universe, but yeah, my understanding is the brain bugs are the ones essentially in charge, or they're the ones that uh, it, in the interactions that the humans have with the bugs, they're the ones calling the shots on the bug
I think
side.
I think that's correct. It's pretty much said that the brain bugs are the ones that are giving them orders, and then they suck the brains out of other organisms to make themselves, like, that's their food. So,
And I don't know if the brain bugs are potentially telepathic as well. I want to say that one of the sequels there might have been something. It's been a while since I saw
Oh
like
god, the
one of the
sequels don't matter.
sequels, but I want to say like the brain bugs also are somewhat telepathic as well, and that's also part of their game in addition.
I'm gonna err on the side of you two have both just bought the propaganda.
you think it was just the government the whole time?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I believe the attack that leveled whatever the city was, Rio.
Uh,
Yeah, Rio.
Yeah,
I'm
I
from
I
Or no,
don't think
Buenos Aires.
Buenos
Buenos
Aires.
Aires.
There we
I'm
go.
from
Yeah,
Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think the bugs did that. I think that got nuked as a false flag to force everyone to be like, yeah, let's go get the bugs because that entire planet over there is probably loaded with resources like oil and whatnot.
That's honestly, I'd never considered that take before, but the movie is very clearly a take on authoritarian
It is. It is.
overreach.
It is a
So,
much cleverer movie than most people give it credit for. Like it is.
Oh, it is.
It
It
is
is
just
an
a
oh
dumb,
amazing
sure,
movie.
alien action movie, but it's also way more than that.
it is totally.
Hmm.
I never thought of it from that perspective though. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I think
Because
much
So,
like
it leans so hard into the yeah, it like you said into the propaganda side of everything, and being like, oh, are you this? Come join, and
I'm
It is
doing
an
my part.
amazing movie in that regard.
Well, I mean, if you weren't already clued in, the whole news broadcast where the kids are being told to like do their part at home and stomp on bugs, and the teacher is like giddy, should tell you, okay, we have officially left orbit here. You know, this is not about actually keeping people safe. This is about keeping people sedated.
Well,
And yes, you probably already gotten there, but
it's about keeping people mad,
yeah.
not to draw any
I
sort
say
of conclusions to recent events, but if you go out there and have an enemy out there that you're gonna go attack, then they're not gonna look at all the problems that are cropping up in their own backyard
at
because there's a
home.
war on.
Because why would we spend the time fixing these really difficult, honestly hard problems at home, social inequity, food, homelessness, things like that, when, oh, bad guys must blow up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So, well, if that, with that in mind, the arachnids and the other bugs are very, very clearly animals then. 100%.
oh yeah,
Even with the brain bugs, then that just makes them, oh, the xenomorphs taking orders from the queen, the flood taking orders from the grave mind. So that is a direct comparison right there. So I'm glad chat brought that up. Any other suggestions from chat on alien
nope.
animals? Okay.
So I know you're
Why don't
dying to move
we?
on. What else you got?
Well, why don't we? There's a lot more that are very harmful for humans. Why don't we switch gears for a second? What about an alien species that would be either neutral or benevolent in some way? And for example, I'll say uh, an alien species that might actually be studying us or evaluating us. This is either benevolent or possibly neutral, depending on what they want to use that information for. Did anybody ever read the book My Teacher is an Alien when you were in elementary school?
I think I had all like the first three of those.
I read, there were four in the series, and I went ahead when I was doing the research for this. I made sure that I was like, oh yeah, because I don't own all of them anymore. But I read the first two, and then the fourth one. It turns out the third one is basically, oh, here's kind of what happened between the first and second book. But I very distinctly remember the fourth book because I think I read the fourth book more than once. My teacher's an alien is, some elementary school kids discover, hey, guess what? My teacher's an alien, and they are learning his weaknesses and trying to figure out, why is he here? And they immediately assume he's here to do bad things. But at the end of the book, a spoiler alert, but I think the book came out in like 89. One of the kids willingly goes with the teacher. Uh, all that it leads up to is the fourth installment, My Teacher Flunked the Planet, where it turns out the teacher was gathering evidence. They refer to him as a he. So he was gathering evidence about whether or not humans were dangerous. Go figure that, because the I forget what the word is, but essentially the other sentient races in the universe have discovered humanity, have discovered that humanity is only so many generations away from interstellar travel, and they're trying to evaluate humanity, and they're seeing war, poverty, dictators, food shortages, where still 1% have all the resources, and things are not looking good. And I actually won't spoil the ending for this one. I think it's actually kind of unique, but the aliens in this are not, they do not set out to be like, oh, we got to destroy this. They are there to evaluate and say, hey, if we allow this species to progress further, are they going to be a benevolent addition to alien society, to the universe, or are they going to be a cancer? And so I have that entry for the whole study and observe sort of category. You guys have anything in this category?
I'm terribly sorry. I had the first one and the third one. I didn't even know there was one in the middle.
Oh, and you never read the fourth one. That's what it was all
Yeah.
leading up to.
Yeah, my teacher's an alien. My teacher fried my brains. My teacher glows in the dark, and my teacher flunked the planet.
Good books. I think they're probably age appropriate for like elementary or middle school.
Oh
So
no, wait! I recognize the cover of my teacher fried my brains, so maybe I did read it. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
that's all right. It was probably insert large number of years here. So
And I recognize the cover of my teacher flunked the planet too. Maybe I read them all. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
no, you're good. I pretty much finished. Dirk, did you ever read My Teacher is an Alien?
Nope.
What about you, Mike?
I didn't hear the question.
Did you ever read
Did
the
you-
book series My Teacher?
Is an alien.
What was it?
It's an
My
alien.
Teacher's an Alien.
It's
I
a pretty.
I probably read one or two of them back in grade school, but not the whole thing.
That... So
Oh,
hey,
look,
Mike's here. He just beamed in from another planet.
Yeah, the aliens let him go so he could join us.
Nice.
So hey, Mike.
Yes.
Apparently, we're currently talking about aliens who are here to study us or gather information. Not like anal probing, but
I mean,
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a way to gather information if you want to
It
learn about
is.
bugs.
we just spent like the last half an hour on aliens that are also essentially animals, like the xenomorphs from Alien, that are just not necessarily we want to destroy humans because we want to, but more like eat, sleep, reproduce, and the eating part is usually us. Did you
Okay.
have any entries to that?
I guess the very similar to that, the Tyranids from the Warhammer 40,000 universe.
hey, look at that.
That was mentioned in chat.
Okay.
Literally mentioned that because none of us know anything about them. So
hmm
Yep.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
are
they're a
they?
swarm. They're a swarm like the xenomorphs. Apparently, many of the uh, viruses that infect people here on Earth and on other planets were like advanced scouts of the Tyranid horde or something
Oh.
like that. But yeah, so they spread themselves throughout the galaxy, running around doing their alien stuff. Kind of like whatever the name of the alien swarm is, that faction in StarCraft that I'm blanking on right now for some reason.
Zerg?
The Zerg, yes. There you go.
I didn't mention the Zerg
How did you guys not
Bad
mention
brain.
the Zerg?
because it turns out lots of things are in this category.
Yeah.
'Cause when humans think of bad things in space, the first thing we're most afraid of is getting eaten.
Yeah. I can't remember whether the bugs in Starship Troopers were particularly intelligent or if they were just bugs.
We mentioned them
Wow.
too.
we went on a
Okay.
whole
You have to
tangent
go-
about that we will not
you have
go
to-
over again.
No, I was just gonna say you have to go back and listen to this episode later
I
because
guess so.
Chewie's thoughts on this are, I think, great. But okay,
And we also
anybo-
talked about the flood from the Halo series too.
Ah, good. hmm
all right. So if we've covered the animals, any entries other than we mentioned that my teacher's an alien in the here to study us, probe or not probe, I guess if it's not done maliciously.
The one I want to point out, so I had mentioned the shadows from the Babylon 5 series being the instigators. They are the agents of chaos. Well, their dynamic polar opposite are the Vorlons. The Vorlons are these super secretive creatures whose thing is order. Their philosophical side is order. So that means, forming alliances, getting people together, that sort of thing. They have actually been studying all the races in that universe. I'll see if I can put a picture and everything for the guys and whatnot. But the Vorlons are creatures that are inside of these suits, and everything. But the key part is that they have manipulated and interacted with all these races in the past. So that way, when they do reveal themselves, they come across as benevolent beings. And the way that they appear is in the form of.
It's an audio podcast, Dirk.
Audio podcast, I know everything. But they come across as heavenly beings.
Ah.
Oh, alien Jesus.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
so they look like what we think of as angels, which is, but I mean, they are these aliens that have been interacting with humans. They've studied all the different species because all the different species see the Vorlons as one of their heavenly beings. So the humans see them as angels. The Minbari see them as the angelic Minbari species, and so on. So they don't look the same to everybody. They look similar, but unique to that different alien species.
Always
in
in
how
a
they appear to them.
guise that immediately engenders trust, I guess.
Yes.
So, because who's going to argue, as Chewie put it, with alien Jesus?
I mean, I would, but
So to
Yes.
So
well,
again, to
you're,
the guys, I've sent pictures like the same individual appears in two different forms depending on who the alien species is.
oh,
everything.
like Galactus.
Galactus does not always have the hat on.
Well,
Does he take it off for dinner?
In an
Or-
earlier writings, it was revealed that each alien species sees Galactus in a completely different way. That has since sort of been dropped and ignored. And since, I mean, like, since the 90s, when everyone's like, yeah, he's a dude in a purple helmet.
But like I said, this is one that their thing is to try and bring groups together and try and be like, hey, you guys want to get together because the shadows are going to destroy you all, and so their thing is to be benevolent.
Okay.
And like I said, the shadows thing is chaos, and the Vorlons thing is order in how they do things.
Okay, then.
Now, if I'm remembering this correctly, was E.T. a botanist?
I feel like he was. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but
I don't know if it's explained in the movie. I think it's explained in other stuff. But yeah, E.T. of the movie E.T. was a scientist on a research mission, and he accidentally got left behind when the rest of the crew panicked and flew off when a group of humans was getting too close.
I seem to recall
All
that.
I remember
Yeah.
is their species is the one who voted out Chancellor of Lore, and Palpatine got elected in his place.
Oh my God.
You'd think
No,
they'd be
I had ET species under where do I have
Audio
I had him on
podcast.
I had him on an original list, and he didn't make it into the when I actually broke it down by category. Still under I've gone through a couple of revisions. Still under the purely studying though, I had Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've seen it, but again, the aliens were sending telepathic messages to people, and they were like being told to go to a mountain, and they didn't always interpret it correctly, but at one point, I think one of the characters who's receiving these messages sculpts the mountain out of mashed potatoes or something.
Yep.
And they're just essentially trying to establish contact with humans. So either study or establish first contact, something like that. So.
I never did
Yeah.
figure out what their deal was.
Well, and I think that's something that is
Was that intentionally left ambiguous?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Could be, because there's definitely a set of aliens in media that they are literally alien to us and their thought processes. So who knows? Maybe they're here for some really important reason. Maybe they're not. So, or what wouldn't appear to be as important to us. For us, it was the most important day of our lives, and for them, it was Tuesday. So,
I did not realize that E.T. was a scientist because, he's so, childlike.
Yeah, helpless and everything.
Yeah.
to us, yeah. But
that's
he's also
true.
in an.
That might just be how the whole species acts, and so.
Or, I mean, he's a scientist that's overcome with confusion and wonder at the.
That's also, and he's probably trying
situation
desperately
he's
not to
been
get
put
murked.
Yes.
He's on a planet. He's either there for a sample or planting something. And like you said, his crew is like, we out, and he's like, wait, what? And then he's surrounded by these really weird, annoying beings. He forms a telepathic bond with a boy who gives him, was it a Kit Kat or something?
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Pieces.
Reese's, that's right.
Yeah.
And,
Spielberg first approached Mars about M&Ms, and like, nah. So then Reese's was his second choice.
Yeah, so then he
And they had
chose the obviously better one.
yeah.
They had an immense sales boost after the movie released.
I imagine so. I also, upon rewatching this movie a couple years ago, realized that I heard a young Drew Barrymore use a descriptive phrase for her brother that I was like, wait, what? That I'm not even going to repeat it here because it's kind of nasty. So, yeah.
Glad you brought it up then.
Yes.
It's odd the little things that movies could get away with at the time.
It's
E.T.
true.
scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Well, yeah.
The movie, not E.T. himself. E.T. was adorable.
No.
But when
No,
they all bust in their like radiation suits
Oh yeah.
and snatch E.T., oh my god, I had to leave the room. Mom said I would sit. I sat there and cried. Like
I was okay with that scene, but then the scene where they've got him hooked up to medical equipment in the clear plastic area, and they have the little boy hooked up. Maybe that unnerved me.
yeah,
Maybe
that didn't
I was
scare
okay
me.
with-
That made me sad. So I went from terrified to depressed.
Yeah.
Thanks, movie.
I wasn't so sad by that part, but I think the part where they bust in, I'm like, well, I've seen action films, guys with guns, edited to phones later apparently, but guys with guns, I'm used to that. But then when they're there and they're like probing and putting them needles and stuff, I'm like, this makes me profoundly uncomfortable. So, and I've never really had a thing about doctors or hospitals, but for whatever reason, that scene, and maybe because they are so clearly clinical about it, like it's not about helping them feel better, it's about like basically getting ready to do an autopsy sort of thing. Wow, this is evoking so many awesome positive emotions from us right now. But hey, part of this is not just the aliens, but how do we react to the aliens? And when the aliens are animals and they're going to kill us, our usual response is gotta kill them first. And maybe we're okay with that, like in the alien films, yeah, that's understandable. And maybe it's all propaganda in different films. But here with E.T., clearly, dude was just lost, and nobody except for the kids was like, oh, hey, this is interesting. Let's engage in a dialogue. It was all like, must study. They treated him as subhuman. Doesn't
my
that say
God.
more about us?
Did you guys ever see Starman?
Starman.
No.
No.
Really? It's a
Nope.
John Carpenter movie. So from the 80s. So that already gives it, 3 out of 5 points right there. But it stars Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen. Jeff Bridges, the dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Karen Allen is from the first and fourth Indiana Jones movies. Is where most people know her.
Miriam.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Well, Miriam,
Indy.
yeah. But yeah, Starman is a some manner of alien who ends up. They see the Voyager 2 space probe and go, oh, that's cool, and so one of them comes to Earth, would get shot down, crashes in Wisconsin, and ends up taking the form of Karen Allen's dead husband because it's the first humanoid look. I think he found a picture or something. Oh, he used a lock of hair from her to become a clone. Because he's a floating ball of energy. And then she has to help him get somewhere. I don't remember where. It's been several years since I've seen it now. But to get somewhere to contact his people to come get him. And of course, the military and the NSA and everybody is after him. And
Yeah.
because it's a John Carpenter movie. So the government are the bad guys. That's a recurring theme. But yeah, it is. It's really sweet and kind of sad. But I really love it.
Go ahead.
So hard recommend if you haven't seen it. Is it streaming anywhere right now? It is able to stream on the Roku channel, apparently, according to Just Watch. Or you can rent it on several things, or buy it on several things,
I have the Roku channel.
Apparently, Robert Hayes was the star of a TV show at some point a couple years later, but it's not streaming anywhere, and I didn't know that. So maybe don't watch that.
We actually forgot 2 examples of the malicious types of aliens.
We're not done with malicious. Brian just moved us away for some reason.
Oh no, yeah, we did the animals one, but there are all sorts of malicious. Like I have destroy humans or Earth, take the planet of resources, rule or convert. So what you got? What you got, man?
We talk about the Chrono Trigger big baddie, Lavos.
Lavos. I have him under take planet or resources. So yeah, tell us about Lavos.
Well, at was it 65 million BC, Lavos is a parasite that falls from the sky and burrows into the center of the Earth, and then grows until the year 1999, where he bursts out and destroys the world.
That is an incredibly succinct summary. And accurate.
It would have taken Brian 20 minutes to say that.
Oh, easily.
What I love about Chrono Trigger is like, okay, something happens in the story. It's been, oh God, at least 2 decades since I played Chrono Trigger. But something happens in the past and causes a floating ship thing called the Black Omen.
The Black Omen.
To rise up into the sky, and it just stays there forever. So that like when you go back to present day and you like talk to Chrono's mom, she's like, "Oh, the Black Omen is so nice in the sky today," because it's always been there. Like to you as the player, that's new, but for everybody in the world, it's always been there.
Yeah.
That's like how when we see the moon in the sky, none of us
Mm-hmm.
go, "What the hell is that?" It's the moon. It's always there. Like when
Yeah.
I look up into like a blue sky and see the moon, it occasionally hits me. I'm like, that's a whole other world right there.
Mm-hmm.
And because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always there, nobody thinks about it. Like it just does not occur to people that that's an actual alien world right there that we can look up at. And I always loved that. That confused me when I was a kid. She's like, "Oh, the Black Omen's so nice." I'm like, "Are you not freaking out about this, Mom?" And then it occurred to me, it's been there since before she was born. Like,
Yeah, she grew up with
all
it.
of the people here have always seen it there.
Mm.
And it blew my
You want-
little, let's see, when it chrono, like 15 or 16-year-old mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chrono Trigger is a masterpiece for reasons we don't have time to go into. But since you brought up the Black
Time.
Omen, a little trick you can do is you can complete it multiple times if you start at the latest time period that you can complete it at and you finish it and then you go to the previous era because you haven't killed it yet. And you can do that a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger's awesome. As Dirk mentioned, Lavos is going a little more into Lavos in particular. It's a parasite, and at a certain point in the story, when you're fighting it, it's revealed that it has the DNA of every living organism on Earth. And so there's actually two ways to look at this, and I've seen both fan theories. One is that it completely leeches everything from the planet over 65 million years and plus. Or two is that it's actually guiding the evolution of Earth. It started out with all these characteristics, and it is influencing the evolution of everything on Earth to make it the ideal environment. Because after 1999, when it wrecks the surface of the planet, the next thing it does is it sets up shop and then it spawns. And the implication being when you fight some of its spawn later, if you don't kill these things, they're going to go off and do this over however many billions of years to essentially every other planet that has life. So I could see, again, is it giving or is it taking or a little bit of both? The sequel, Chrono Cross, kind of heavily implies the latter because even a shred of Lavos, even a little piece of its shell, is shown to rapidly uh, kind of X-Men style um, guide or advance the evolution of things that come into contact with it. So kind of a little bit of both. But yeah, Lavos is it's fascinating because you learn about it fairly early in the game and is built up as this horrible, awful. It's like, how do you fight an earthquake? How do you fight a meteor? And over the course of the game, you starting at a certain point, you can go directly to the Lavos fight, and you will die horribly, but it's there. It's this thing that literally looms over the whole game. It's great. It was definitely on my list because it is definitely malignant, it is definitely intelligent, and it has a plan, and it is definitely, whether it's guiding our evolution or just leeching off of us, either way, it's taking advantage of literally the entire planet.
What you just said, I didn't know that before about Lavos's nature with the DNA stuff. I wonder if it was inspired by something from one of Clark Ashton Smith's Hyperborea stories.
What is that?
That's it's an extremely old. I mean, whether it's a god or just a monster thing called Abath, and it sounds like what you're talking about, where life will just spontaneously emerge from it. Abath mostly spawns monsters, but there's an implication that it might be the source of other life. Clark Ashton Smith was part of that same circle of people that included folks like Lovecraft and Robert Howard and other folks like that.
I was wondering if Mr. Lovecraft would have been involved with this because it sounds similar. Yeah. The only species we know existed prior to Lavos is humans, but at the time they were cave people. And after Lavos, they start getting a lot smarter.
Hmm.
So, coincidence, possibly not. So, Dirk, was there more? I kind of took over a little bit because I love Lavos, but was there more you wanted to say on the subject?
Well, not on Lavos.
Okay.
The another one is the Reapers from the Mass Effect series.
Oh
I've
yeah.
never played Mass Effect, but Reapers doesn't sound like, you know, Galaxy of the
Happy-go-lucky group.
Galaxy salesman. Yeah.
So they themselves would fall into the same sort of category as the Borg. Although the Borg, the Reapers fall into the category of mechanical aliens. They also like mechanical will also be the weird giant penguin things from the Fifth Element that
Huh.
are like mechanical as well, and in all of this. But the whole thing with the Reapers is they are these ancient aliens that have sort of the appearance of like gigantic shrimp, um, like giant space shrimp, except that they're not like human size or even like, building size. They are colossal, well beyond skyscraper size aliens that again have, offensively they can attack with beams that just cut through everything. They're incredibly powerful. They can create shields around themselves. um, they are themselves, these gigantic things are the one creature, but there's millions of them. Additionally, they are also telepathic and can influence the behavior of beings around them. So if you just are hanging around a Reaper, the Reapers can actually drive you to become sympathetic to them and their cause. So it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be, hey, let's make a deal kind of thing. It's just being in proximity to them for a period of time. Eventually, you become indoctrinated by them.
I
So it's
charisma aliens.
yeah,
Yes.
but when they're like chaotic evil.
Hey, chaotic evil loves charisma.
Yeah. So they are their whole thing is they help guide the evolution of species and everything, but they guide it in such a way that they're able to easily overwhelm. And the way they do that is they essentially, like species, when they reach spacefaring age, they find these giant gates. That escapes me what they're called right now, but it's the jump gates that they use. They use to Mass Effect gates. They use to jump from place to place. Well, everyone builds their technology around this awesome technology that just happens to be there.
But it's the Reapers that actually made it.
It's the Reapers who put that technology there in the first place, so that way when they do show up after whatever it is that they come back at every, you know 50,000 years or so, whatever the
Hmm.
time period is. Whenever they come back, everyone's technology is based around their technology, so they can easily overwhelm, and then they assimilate those alien groups into the Reaper group as a whole. So you end up with human-like Reapers. You end up with Asari type Reapers. You end up with all the different alien races get assimilated into the Reapers in some way, shape, or form
I
as
love
a
that.
group. So it's their way of, again, we're guiding things along because we're the ones who are trying to be the ones in charge.
I have two notes about that. First of all, I love the concept of they built this stuff, they left, and people later find it and they're like, "Oh, ancient technology, we understand how it works." I'm kind of and basing their whole civilization around it. I'm picturing humans spreading throughout the galaxy, dying suddenly. Another race comes in, finds our, soft serve ice cream dispensers, and like starts to worship them. And they're like, all hail the frozen. Um, the second thought of that
I
is
mean,
you're actually
yeah.
getting into a subcategory that I had, which is the Borg, and from Marvel Comics, and Chewie can set me straight about this one,
No.
symbiotes.
Oh, I don't know
Symbi-
anything about the symbiotes. They are a whole big thing. Well, that have spread. They've become a big cosmic thing ever since I stopped reading comics.
Okay. Well, basically, the aliens that don't look to just consume, but actually want to. I mean, the Borg are the perfect example. They want to assimilate.
They assimilate different aliens into the Borg themselves to help make the Borg better as a whole.
Sure, you're evolving, but you're cheating it. You're not just like over millions of years adapting to your environment. You're like, huh, you have all the attributes I want. You're going to be part of me now. Here, read this pamphlet, and by the way, put this thing in your eye. The opening to Star Trek First Contact made, as someone that can't even stand to put in contacts, made me incredibly uncomfortable where they have that like
The thing
drill.
that pokes him in the eye.
Yes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Guess it's been too long.
um,
I don't remember
but
that at all.
yeah.
Oh darn.
Hmm. But under this same category of like converting, assimilating, I have from Final Fantasy VII, everybody's favorite calamity from the skies, Genova, which in the original game was a fairly prominent figure, but I love how in the remake and in Rebirth, Genova is, especially if you played the original game, you're like, oh shoot, when you start to see glimpses of it and where it's going, and especially as you're moving through the Shinra building, you're like, they did it justice. Let's put it that way. They treated Genova with reverence. Genova, kind of like Lavos, fell from the sky and created a giant meteor. But unlike Lavos, Genova didn't burrow and hide away. It immediately proceeded to begin to wipe out the entire Cetra race, the dominant species on the planet. Genova has this interesting ability where it can mimic or take on the appearance of your loved ones and force you like get you to essentially turn against each other. It's heavily implied through the games that Genova doesn't win just by killing you, it wins by making you kill each other. And so Genova wanted to basically make itself the ruler of the planet. The Cetra, with their ability to tap into the planet, use magic without materia and all that, were a big threat to that. So, gotta start, taking care of them. And it was extremely physically resistant. I say it, she, I think, because Genova is always given the female pronoun, but she's also an alien, so not sure exactly how that works. I don't think she's ever shown to reproduce one way or the other. But wipe out the Cetra, profit. But only by most of the Cetra giving up their lives are they able to basically force her into a stasis, but not completely kill her. And later she's found by Shinra, who are the company with just the best intentions ever, and treated first by Dr. Gast, and then given to Dr. Hojo, who is the worst human being to ever exist in possibly any media ever. Well, that's tough
He's
because
right
there's a
up
lot of
there.
competition. He's up there. And decides, yes, humans, but what if Genova sells? And everything spirals out of control. So, Genova
There'll have to
in
be
the
another episode we have at some point of when people went too far.
of we'll have to do several episodes on that. But like the whole poke the bear, the whole humanity being like, oh, certainly, this will end well. The quote from the Chaos guy, Dr. Malcolm in Jurassic Park: "You spent so much time thinking about if you could that you didn't think about if you should," because that's humanity in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
So, any other aliens from anybody else about subverting, taking over, converting, assimilating, anything like that?
The Borg is pretty much the best example of that,
They really are.
because that's all that's their whole thing.
Yeah. Find a species, stick some hardware on them. Welcome to the group.
Although they have a weirdly sexy queen. I don't know how that works. But
Basically made for the movie, right? Because they
In
wanted
fact,
to
let's
have
not
a
think
central
about it.
figure. Did they ever? Now, I did not watch every episode. In fact, I didn't watch almost any of A New Generation. How did Picard become a Borg and then not? I didn't know that you could come back.
You mean the next generation?
Yeah, what'd I say?
Jesus Christ. I don't remember specific. I know they had to perform some surgeries to get all the metal bits out of him. And I
Okay.
think he still was hearing or having some twinges of like hive mind for a while. At least it was implied that he was.
I didn't know if Q just like snapped his fingers and was like, "Hey, dummy, be a human again."
No, Q doesn't do that sort of thing.
Okay.
There's an interesting type of alien is
Q, the space
yeah,
god.
is something that is like Q could easily slip into a Lovecraftian horror because Q is so far above us that we're almost beneath its notice, and that's what cosmic horror is things out there that are so many layers of reality or size or power or whatever removed from us that we don't matter. And it's the old, they give us the same attention that you would an ant crawling on your floor.
Right. Who's the alien from Superman that can basically rewrite reality because they're from like another dimension or
Jesus, which
something?
one?
The Mr. something.
Oh, Mixie
That
I
was
was still muted on my
impressive.
thing. Yes, Mr. Mixie-Spitlick.
I've heard it pronounced like 8 different ways, but it's always spelled the same.
I'm not gonna even try. But
Mixie-Spitlick is how they said it in the Superman animated series, I think.
I hear the word spit halfway through it, so
That was such a great version of him.
Mm-hmm.
so
But
what's his deal?
see-
I know a little bit, but
Oh, he's some sort of all-powerful thing that just is bored and will
Yeah,
occasionally show
from,
up
like,
and
the-
screw with Superman.
Yeah, from like the 5th dimension or 7th dimension or something.
Something
It's
like
like something I said when I was muted and y'all couldn't hear me when you were talking about Q. It's like a super powerful alien with nothing better to do.
right.
So you have things like Q, you have Mr. Mixie-Spitlick, you have the Great Gazoo, and the Flintstones, and even some of the Lovecraftian horrors. They aren't there because they want to eat people or enslave people. They mess with people because they're trapped on Earth and don't have anything better to do.
It's a Wednesday. What are we gonna do? Want to screw with humanity? Sure.
At a certain level, I think some
Yeah.
of the higher beings in Marvel, like the Celestials and what are Eternity and the others that are like Eternity.
Yeah, I kind of think of the like Doctor Who. I know he doesn't completely fall into that, but somebody who has immense powers and is
Sure.
able to manipulate, like he can travel through time and space and everything else.
I think category of space god or reality warper. If you can just change reality, I'm not sure how you get much above that because it's reality. So, and again, sometimes they're bored, or sometimes we just can't fathom their near omnipotent minds.
Yeah. Yeah, like Dirk, you brought up a good example. The Celestials, their thing is like we don't really understand what their motivations are. They all have motivations. They all have specific roles, even that they fulfill, but we don't understand what or why they're doing things most of the time.
Yeah, they seem to be, at least some of them seem to be scientists who are doing something with species on a planet, whether it's to its own end or for some other reason. Like in the Earth X sub series, I don't know, sub reality. It's a different continuity than normal Marvel continuity, but the Celestials, a bunch of stuff that they did do in, the 616 universe, such as, mess with the Kree and genetically and empower the what are they called, the Eternals and the Deviants. Where they did that because there was a celestial fetus essentially growing inside the planet, and they were the antibodies because they knew that there were, like, I think the Skrulls, or it might be the Kree. There's some alien species out there who would work to counteract it, so they empowered some of the creatures on the planet and turned them into Eternals and the Deviants to, like, fight off any sort of problems that would arise if the Skrulls or the Kree or whichever other species, I forget which, would show up and try to stop the process. And in the Earth X series, like, every superpowered being on Earth is a direct result of the celestial seeds that are inside each person. All of them. Mutants, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, everybody that has any kind of power has it because of the celestial seed. And their stages of evolution, essentially, in the lead up to the Celestial being born. And Galactus's purpose, the reason he goes around and eats planets, is not just for no reason other than to survive. He actually eats planets that have Celestials in them to keep them on their population under control, because you can't have Celestials popping out of every planet or else they'll take over everything.
Yeah. It's like reintroducing wolves to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That is a fascinating take on that. I really kind of like that.
Yeah, and it gets even weirder with the different stages of evolution, and it's all explained very cryptically by the Watcher. In that universe, the Watchers are there specifically working for the Celestials to keep an eye on everything. They're not impartial. That's why when Galactus showed up, it was Uatu who gave Reed Richards the ultimate nullifier, because they're working for the Celestials. Galactus is working against the Celestials, so they had to do something. None of that is true in normal, at least that I know of, is true in normal Marvel continuity, but
yeah, I think the Watchers are strictly neutral in normal continuity. I was going to bring them up when we were talking about scientists and observers.
Oh,
go.
Yeah.
They are the epitome of neutral. So
Yeah, except when they're not. But
well,
ignore that.
they're supposed
except
to
for
be.
cheat. Yeah.
Before we get too far from space gods, I have a false god category. Who saw Stargate?
Yep.
Like
Yes.
a long time ago.
Okay, I would hope that would be everybody. I found out later that it actually didn't do well, and I'm like, but I saw it a bajillion times. Apparently,
And it got a TV show, like multiple TV shows.
It got
based
several
Oh,
on
yeah.
TV
it.
shows.
So I'm not going to speak to the TV shows because I never saw them. I don't know if any of you guys did, but just in the
Yes.
original.
I was gonna say, I think Dirk did.
Well, in the film, not to do a whole recap or anything, I promise, but essentially the ancient Egyptian gods were based off of figures that were actually aliens. Their species was dying out. Their leader, who took the name Ra, looked across the universe, found humans, and said, "Hey, your bodies are really easy to repair, and I can possess them." So that was basically his thing. He took over society, started enslaving humans, so that when one uh, form would start to die off, he could. I think it's said that he actually has been wearing the same meat skin for like thousands of years because all he has to do is pop into a little regenerating sarcophagus and it just rebuilds itself. But because he and his fellow aliens are seen as gods, they actually form a religion around it. So, yeah, false
Essentially,
god. I don't know how
so
much that's expanded upon in the shows.
more or less, but there's more that goes into it. But yes, in the TV show, come to find out that the aliens themselves are what you had mentioned earlier. They're symbiotes, but they're able to exert their control over their host. They're essentially these worm things that wrap themselves around the nervous system all the way up into the brain and are able to take over their hosts. And the way they grow is the armored bodyguards that are going around. They're called Jaffa, and essentially they are incubators for the symbiotes.
Okay,
So yep.
cool.
Good lord.
And the show also expands them into, the not just the Egyptian deities, but as guardians and other deities of other cultures.
Oh, really?
Were they
So I guess
brave
that
enough to make
Chinese
an
and-
alien Jesus?
I don't know if they went that far. Probably not.
Cowards. So
They did have an alien species that ascended, though.
On the
That's
third day,
Nice.
or
Like ascended to a higher plane of existence.
Chewie, you started to say so.
I was just gonna move us off onto something else because we haven't
Yeah.
talked
Right.
about Independence Day yet.
No,
Oh.
nope.
And
That was in the Lavos category for
and
me.
Independence Day is my favorite example of Independence Day and War of the Worlds, but I think I
Yes.
prefer Independence Day as far as method of
Mhm.
showing up and just, hey, we're here to wipe you all out, and then doing it.
Yeah.
Like they have the
The
giant
reas-
miles across ships, and they just show up and park, and then one by one they just fire and obliterate massive piles of humanity, and then they move the ship to a different place and fire, and just that's the plan, is just kill everything and then siphon up whatever resources they can get and then move on to the next one. And
Yeah.
it's always haunted me when the alien has hairy Data. I don't know the doctor's name, but he's got Brent Spiner as a long-haired hippie doctor. He's got him. He's got the tentacle wrapped around his throat, and he's having him speak for us, or speak for the alien. And the president goes, "What do you want? Oh, what do you want us to do?" or something like that. And he goes, "Die." Like that lives in my head forever.
Yeah. The reason I have them in the Lavos category is because it would be easy enough to just be like, oh, they're just going to blow us up. But they're not just there to kill us. They're specifically there for our resources. That when the president does the mind meld thing with the one with Data, who now I can't not see him as Data. Thank you, Chewie.
You are welcome.
He's like, hey, their whole species lives on this ship, which, we'll retcon in 20 years for a sequel, but their whole species lives on this ship, and they go from planet to planet taking the resources. So it's not just enough to kill us. To us, this is the new apartment, and they're spraying for termites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold.
And
Which
War
I
of the
said War of the
Worlds.
Worlds was also very similar.
There we go.
You had the aliens coming from Mars, which is, cold and dried out and everything. They moved to Earth to wipe us all out and take over the nice green lush planet that we have. But they made a big miscalculation.
Gotta send probes first, man.
Yep.
Was that the one where they can't breathe our air?
No, they ended up getting infected by diseases they had no immunity.
That okay. I think I'm thinking of the right film.
So they just got sick and died inside of their tripods.
I'm thinking of the right film. I thought that it was that they couldn't breathe oxygen. Either
You
way,
might be thinking of Signs, where there's even a more absurd miscalculation,
Oh,
where the
no,
aliens are deathly vulnerable to water.
Oh no, I remember Signs. I think
Okay.
I just misinterpreted the end of War of the Worlds. I think I just thought,
Okay.
oh, they can't breathe. That's dumb. Not knowing that we have diseases is slightly more intelligent, but also not smart.
But like,
So-
even if you're thinking of the Tom Cruise movie, then like they were out walking around at one point, and he had to hide from them. Remember, so
Mhm.
they could
I
clearly
was not
breathe.
thinking of the Tom. I was not thinking of the Tom Cruise movie.
Thank goodness, because that movie's weird. It's not bad, but it's not good.
Yeah, it's one of the movies of all time.
It really is.
Of all the movies they've made, it was certainly one. I have a subcategory under, bad guy of evil corporate or again ruling from the shadows, and I have scrolls because again I don't know all of Marvel, but what I know of like Secret Invasion is, turns out all the important people are scrolls. And from you mentioned John Carpenter. Have you seen They Live?
I love They Live.
Once again, aliens are in positions of power, and yeah,
And They Live's whole premise is that all of the powerful people are aliens, and they are feeding us subliminal information to stay docile, consume, buy more stuff, shut up and listen, do as you're told, obey.
clearly
then
this is like so far removed from our own reality. We couldn't conceive of this.
Yeah. Again, it's a thing in John Carpenter movies that the government is not to be trusted.
Yep.
But like the protagonist gets a pair of glasses that allows him to see through all of the stuff, and he's like, all of these advertisements and signs just say consume and obey, and he picks up a magazine and flips through it, and every page is just obey, consume, that sort of thing. And then he sees 80s yuppies as for what they are, which is weird alien things. And yeah, it is a bleak a bit of anti-capitalist cinema. I love it. And it's got one of the dumbest and greatest fight scenes in movie history.
Mm-hmm.
Between oh crap, They Live fight scene. The long fight. Yeah, here we go. Who I don't want to watch it on YouTube, thanks. Who's in it? It's Keith David. Okay, that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember.
Oh, I have not seen this in forever. This has Goliath and Spawn.
Yeah. It's Rowdy Roddy Piper in all of his 80s mulleted regalia, and Keith David having like a 6-minute alley fight.
Wow.
I need to see this again.
Because it's there have been speculations that it was Carpenter taking a stab at fight scenes in movies, but to my knowledge, he's never actually confirmed that.
But so, yeah, aliens in positions of power and government. If you remember Perfect Dark, the video game that was a successor to GoldenEye, there were two alien races. One was seen as benevolent, and they were and I did the research, the Mayans.
One of those.
Maians.
Yeah.
They were like the good people, and they were like basically, again, the Greys. And then there were the
And that's
Skidar.
the first time we've mentioned them.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought we talked about Perfect Dark on another episode.
No,
What
I
do you
mean that's the
today?
first time this episode we've mentioned the Greys.
Yeah, because they're so obvious. I mean, I realize we talked about, the xenomorphs, but still.
I thought you'd already mentioned them when I came in, and you're like, okay, we're talking about scientists, not butt stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess they've already gone through the Greys.
No, we haven't covered Grey's yet.
Okay.
Grey's Anatomy or any other kind. So,
Butt stuff.
What? But the Skidar, not to be confused with Skadoosh, thank you, Jack Black. The Skidar are working with an evil corporate, or corporation, I guess, and producing weapons and stuff. So they're bad because, they're evil. They're going to take over. It's not entirely clear what they're getting out of it. World domination, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
But they're bad.
Reptilian things, I think. I think they're
think so.
reptilian. Okay.
Again, I don't remember a whole lot of their motivation except just, yeah, we're going to supply weapons so you guys basically kill yourselves, which is a common plan.
Man, I wish Perfect Dark had a better sequel, so it could have been an actual franchise. Because the first game was so good.
It was.
The main Mayan creature that you rescue is named Elvis, because of course it is, and he is obnoxious.
Oh yeah.
So what else we got?
I have under neutral. I had an unintentionally destructive category. I never read all of A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I do know that it starts with Earth being demolished for
A highway.
to make way for like a highway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And when Earth finds out, they're like, "Well, wait a minute, don't we have a say?" And the authorities were like, "Look, we put out this plan how many cycles ago? You could have registered a complaint, and you never did." So it's not like the aliens were necessarily like, haha, we're going to wipe them all out. It was like, hey, we did what we had to do. We really want to put a freeway here. So.
Yeah, it was the alien version of Manifest Destiny.
Exactly.
Is that the right word?
I had them. Well,
Yeah.
eminent domain.
There we go. Sorry, wrong.
Manifest Destiny is the Monroe Doctrine and the thought of like it's all gonna be owned by America eventually. It is our our destiny made manifest to control the entire Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, sorry.
What an
I can't think of why
idea.
Manifest Destiny was on my head, in my head here recently.
I couldn't imagine. But no, eminent domain. So, again, the aliens never set out to be like, oh, yay, kill the humans, but more like, they're in the way.
We should also remind everyone that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is comedy.
Yes.
And yet.
At this point, oh, I have one other one that I basically exhausted my list. Certainly, I'm sure you
That's
guys can think
crazy.
of other things, but under benevolent to harmless, I had a subcategory of actually needing protection from humans, and this isn't true for the entire movie, but the Na'vi from Avatar have their own little society, and then the mean old humans come in and want to knock down all the trees. Um,
I mean, they don't want
so
to knock down all the trees. They just want the extremely rare unobtainium.
un-
What
unobtainium,
a
which
glorious name that was. That is,
Mhm.
it's ours because we want it, but it just happens to be under their main tree,
yes,
and that's not our problem.
yeah. So
You
I have
know,
the Na'vi as an alien species that they're not necessarily against us, but it's interesting that in so many of these things we've talked about, not necessarily with the first category where they're animals, but in a lot of these others, humans are not as developed technology wise as these other species because it's easier for us to imagine, oh, we're late to the party. You know, we can
Mhm.
barely get off our own planet. These other people, certainly they've been doing it for forever. But again, with the xenomorphs with some of the others, and now here with the Navi, you have a very, what to our mind would be underdeveloped species, at least in terms of technology. And we actually have the upper hand. And so it's interesting to have instead a species that, for those in the movie that actually care about the preservation of their society, that we have a responsibility to look out for them and what it implies in the story when we choose not to do that.
That makes me think of something. Did the are the Men in Black also responsible for like kind of a witness protection ish program for
yeah.
aliens living on Earth?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So even though those aliens might be way more technologically advanced, they still need our help in some way.
Yeah. My understanding is it's not just for like hey, there are aliens on Earth, we're going to monitor them, but it's also like identifying who the aliens are and their roles, and in some cases actually giving them some protection. Like in the
Mhm.
second film, which was not good, but in order to, you know, defeat the evil alien queen thing, they hid the princess queen. It's been a long time since I remember that film, but something something Statue of Liberty something something. Do you ever see the animated series? It was actually pretty interesting.
It was awesome. I loved watching it.
The whole concept of who was the bad guy, Alpha,
Hmm.
one of the first MIB agents who then, because he knows about aliens and finds a
Hmm.
device where he's able to incorporate alien biology into his own body, starts to become a mishmash, a one person Borg of like the best attributes in the galaxy. It was legit kind of sort of like a Cronenberg sort of thing with all his extra limbs and whatnot.
Hmm.
Especially when there were sentient aliens added into his body.
Gotta hate it
Yeah,
when that happens.
it was a fascinating show. Did you guys ever watch that other than Mike?
Nope. I think Dirk nodded off.
Uh, I never watched the animated show.
Just kidding. Um. So we've talked about just a whole mess of flavors of aliens and how they're represented in media and all that. But let's get to the real science before we wrap this episode up.
Sure.
So, to our knowledge, we have, like, to the knowledge of science, don't listen to the cranks and the weirdos. We have zero knowledge or evidence of any kind of extraterrestrial anything. We haven't even found microbes just yet.
Hmm.
We're working on it. They're out there, I'm sure, but we'll get to that. We have no evidence of any sort of extraterrestrial anything at all. Nothing. Anything that might have potentially been from an intelligent source has been debunked or was revealed to be pulsars. Oh.
Yeah.
And not saying that it's completely impossible, because there's no way to know that, but there's a lot of stuff we could talk about here as far as detecting aliens or determining if there are any out there. And one of my favorite statements on this, I think, was Arthur C. Clarke.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? It is Arthur C. Clarke. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe, or we are not. Both are equally terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all we know. Like we talked about at the very beginning, we're all we know. So we don't, it's easy to like just say, well, there could be aliens that are like this or not like this or whatever. But like, we have no evidence that anything other than us is possible. Like, carbon is essential to us. Like, we're all carbon-based life forms. And there have been lots of suppositions. Well, what is it? Silicon works kind of like carbon, so there could be silicon-based life forms.
Yeah, it can. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we don't know that because we don't have any.
No. And the possibility that we are the only example here on Earth becomes even more strange and outlandish when you start to learn more about the vastness and complexity of the universe. Like, there is a ton about the vastness and complexity of the universe that we have learned about within our own lives and our parents' lives. Even just going back that recently in time.
Yeah.
It, less than 100 years ago, the consensus was the consensus understanding was that, we live in this galaxy full of stars. Look at all these nice stars. And when we started building powerful enough telescopes to look deeper with better resolution, it's like, a lot of these points of lights are more galaxies. And with the greater resolution, we can see deeper into the background, and it's just galaxies, 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 everywhere.
The Hubble Deep Field was the first, like, truly mind-blowing example, I think, that went public.
Mm-hmm.
Was they pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a black section of space where we had nothing.
Yeah.
And they just essentially left the shutter open to gather light for, like, was it 2 weeks? Or
and
something
pretty,
I forget how long the Hubble
of,
Deep Field took.
Yeah, pretty tiny patch of sky, really.
Yeah. And what we got was just the most insane density of full-ass galaxies that covered that entire patch of sky.
Mm-hmm.
And that went public, and that blew everyone's mind, because there's nothing there that, as far as we can tell. And yet, when we look far enough, essentially, we allow enough light in for the sensors to pick it up at high enough magnification, we get entire other galaxies, countless ones, in this one teeny tiny patch of sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you multiply that out by the rest of every other patch of sky, like, it...
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a concept called the Drake equation. It's not really meant to be like a formal, formula for calculating some specific number, but it's meant to represent the concept of what we could expect to see, and it's weird that we're not seeing anything at all. basically the Drake equation, the way it's set up, it uses, let me count these again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 different parameters, assumptions that you just multiply together, and it produces a number that kind of represents what the expectation should be for the number of civilizations in the universe that we could receive communications from. So the different parameters are, the rate of star formation in the galaxy, the fraction of those stars with planetary systems, the average number of planets per solar system with an environment suitable for life, the fraction of suitable planets on which life actually appears, the fraction of life-bearing planets on which intelligent life appears eventually, the fraction of those planets with intelligent life that develop interstellar communication, and then like the average length of time such civilizations release signals into space, for as long as they exist. Because not every civilization lasts forever.
No, the idea is to multiply all these together to get a probabilistic rough estimate.
Right.
Yeah. So we know that number that you get, it can't be 0, because we know of one example, here.
I mean, yeah.
Hello.
It can't be 0, but it stands to reason with all those, with just the huge numbers involved in the stars in our galaxy, and if you extend it to other galaxies, all the stars there, it kind of doesn't stand to reason that it's only one, Yeah. But again, we don't have any hard evidence,
and a
because we
bunch
haven't
of
detected.
these, well, at least the earlier numbers in this equation have changed drastically just in our lifetimes.
Yes, with new understandings of cosmology, yeah.
Yeah, like the rate of star formation in our galaxy, I know, has gone up as far as we know, and from early estimates. And the fractions of those stars that have planets has it seems like every star we point a telescope at, not a telescope because that implies we're looking at them, but it seems like every star that we point at and look for evidence of planets comes back, there's planets.
Yeah, there's tons of exoplanets out there.
And we used to know of like one. And now there's hundreds, if not thousands, that we concretely know exist. Like it's insane. So
yeah. What is the dark forest theory?
The
I've
dark
heard it,
forest, the dark forest theory is an idea of a possible explanation for why we haven't. Yeah, it's a hypothesis for why we haven't detected anything. So it's the idea that there are technologically advanced civilizations out there that could communicate across these large distances, but they don't, because they know something we don't know about the dangers involved in, lighting a flare and making yourself known. The dark forests be like, if you make noise or light up a light in a dark forest, and the predators lurking in the darkness will be better able to find you.
Yeah, I'm reminded. You guys ever see the movie Pitch Black?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a scene towards the end of that where everything is going horribly wrong, but it made it into the trailer because it's such an amazing shot where this dude takes a swig of alcohol and spits it across a match, or a flame, and to light up more of the area around him, and he's just inundated with these horrible alien critters on this planet. Hey, there's more alien animals. It's the things from Pitch Black.
Hey.
That are literally they're allergic to light. So when he does that, all you see is just this mass of creatures all go, ah! But as the fireball disappears, then they eat him. But like
Yeah.
that's what my brain says is when you're in the dark forest hypothesis is you light it up and then you see all the things that are there that want to kill you.
And those things were there already, but now they know where you are. And in Pitch Black, I mean, they can see you anyway, so that's more the establishing shot. But
yeah, but like this was a serious debate back in the day when we were like, do we want to be broadcasting our existence to the unknown? Because
safe? Yeah.
What if alien bug things come and eat us? And
in the book that was later made into a movie, The Three Body Problem, there is a character that is conducting essentially like experiments with charting space and sending messages into space to see if anybody responds. At one point, she's alone at her desk and she gets a message back and she's like, "Hey, we got your message. I am literally one of the only people on this planet that is calling you back to warn you don't send another message. If you do, we can triangulate you, and if we can, we're gonna take your planet." The message literally reached the one being on that planet that wouldn't have come to go and smash up Earth. And some stuff happens after that it's such an amazing book I don't want to get into. And I thought the series on Netflix did a good job, although it definitely, whited it up a whole lot from a mostly Chinese cast to not. But otherwise, a lot of the core concepts were pretty well delivered on. So, but yeah, that theory of like, if you put yourselves out there, you may not like what comes knocking at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, something I mentioned before Mike got here, how many of the species we talked about were humanoid? Except for like some of them, like Lavos.
Yeah, I mean because that's the we can only imagine so much. I mean, and when you look around, it's like tons of life on our planet has limbs that they use to move around, and we know us. We have 2 arms, 2 legs, walk upright. Why couldn't
I
that have
love my
happened?
limbs.
Yeah, why couldn't that have happened in other places?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't it have happened in other places?
I'm
And
with you.
also, there's only so much budget for special effects in old sci-fi movies and television shows.
Yeah.
There is that too, yeah.
Yeah. And Chewy made a very good point before you came, Mike, which is not only do we have a hard time like thinking of some of these really, really alien concepts, but also it's hard, especially for when you're talking about a novel, to really convey what something that's truly unimaginable would look like, because the reader won't get it either, because the reader is limited by their own experiences. So, yeah. But at any time there's a truly, truly alien look at aliens, I always appreciate that. A film that was on my list that I didn't talk about, there was a film called Life, and I looked it up. It's in 2017, and it's a horror film, and it's basically scientists discover a single cellular organism on Mars, managed to bring it back to life on a space station, and why that was a horrible idea.
Oh yeah, this is the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. I remember trailers for this and thinking it looked really cool, but I never actually saw it.
Yeah, I missed that one too.
Yeah, it is not streaming anywhere. Well, balls.
Apparently, it did not do terribly well.
So. I mean, again, because it's probably sort of a high concept for theater going audiences.
Probably. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take
so it might not be.
Yeah. But I didn't mean to take away from what you were saying. You were kind of bringing everything full circle. So it's fascinating how we view these things that are literally, it's in the name, alien to us, but we view them through the lens of our own life, our own experience. And it's not always about what would these species do to us, but what is the frame through which we would see them.
Did you guys ever read Sphere by Michael Crichton?
Yes. Oh, you and I have discussed this, including how superior the book is to the movie, like 1,000.
God, that movie was so... It had such a great cast, and it was such crap.
It was horrible. But yeah, Sphere was great.
Sphere, the main character, whose name is escaping me, Norman? Norman Johnson. He's a psychologist. And at some point years ago, the Navy had like contacted him to write some sort of like procedural thing for encounter with alien life. And he's like, they can't be serious, right? So he kind of treated it as a joke. But he wrote a report entitled Recommendations for the Human Contact Team to Interact with Unknown Life Forms. And I remember in the book, he was talking about how there's literally no way to know. You know, like they could exist in multiple dimensions. They could be a sentient cloud of gas whose presence causes us to choke and die. You know, there's no way to know. But the military higher ups kept saying like, you think they could read our minds? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. I'm like, you should put something in there about if they can read our minds. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, he was basically doing it to humor them.
Yeah, and for the paycheck.
Yeah, but that's that core concept of how do we define life? And we only observe things in 3 dimensions, and everything, once again, is based off our own life here. What if an alien life looked nothing like us at all?
Also, that made me remember the movie The Arrival.
Yeah, that was really good. I saw that in the theater.
I thought I heard you blink out for a second there, Chewy. What was the movie?
Not
Arrival.
The Arrival. The Arrival is a bad sci-fi movie with Charlie Sheen from the 90s. Arrival.
Oh, the one with Superman?
No, the one with Lois Lane.
Oh, yeah. I think I was thinking of a How It Should Have Ended clip where, yeah.
Excuse me.
No,
Jeez.
I think I know the one you're referring to. I don't think I actually saw the film.
Yeah, it's
good.
It's so good. It's about a linguist and Jeremy Renner and Forrest Whitaker is the military contact who are trying. There's this giant alien ship. Multiple giant alien ships have come down to Earth, and each country is trying to learn to communicate with them. And they're what are they called? Hexapods?
I don't. That sounds right.
Something like that.
Wait. Okay, well, keep going. I have a thought, but keep
Sorry,
going.
heptapods, because they've got 7 limbs.
Okay.
But they try to figure out ways to communicate with them, and their language, their writing is circular. And it turns out this is not a spoiler in any sort of important way. The heptapods don't experience time the same way we do. Like, but we experience time, you know, in one direction.
Yeah, linearly.
Past to future only, and the heptapods don't. They can sort of see all in both directions, as it were.
Yeah. And around.
Yeah. And it is it's fascinating, and it's one of those movies where the first time you see it, your brain might break a little, and you'll go, "Oh, wait, what?" And then like a couple years later, you'll watch it again, and you'll be like, "This is the greatest movie I've ever seen."
It's been on my list. What I was going to say, unless you had more to say about it, was you mentioned Forrest Whitaker being in a movie where he's a consultant for the government and it involves contact with aliens. That was not the film that came to mind.
What was?
Did you ever see Species?
Oh, wow, I forgot about Species. Forrest Whitaker was in that? Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very young Forrest Whitaker.
How about that?
Because he was like a psychic of some sort.
Yeah, along with Doc Ock,
Mm-hmm.
Alfred Molina.
That's amazing.
Career beginning roles here.
I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that
Very
once
early
a
in
long
their
time
careers,
ago, and I was
would
like,
some
"That
of
was
that
dumb."
sort.
What was that, Dirk? I'm sorry, I was talking over you.
It's early in their careers, or yeah.
What a perfect film to end the discussion about aliens on.
It's like, what if we
Well,
had
I
a
will say that
xenomorph?
There
But
is a
she
lot
was-
more to go with, so we will have to pick this up another time.
It's like, what if we
talk
had a
more about some
xenomorph,
aliens?
but she was a sexy naked lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes under like, okay, I had the motivations here. Just destroy humans, take the planet, rule or convert. This is under a separate category entirely.
That'll save you some money on special effects.
Right?
You don't
You
even have
don't
to pay for clothes.
He went there. He went there. Oh.
Oh my god. So just to round things out, like every time that we get the capability to look, okay, so in space, because light has a defined speed limit, the further away you look in distance, the further back you're looking in time. Now, this is a hard concept for some people, but because the light, we're used to light being essentially instantaneous, on this planet. But if we are looking at something that is, millions of light years away, that word means something. Light year is a distance, but it's the distance that light travels in a year. So if we're looking millions of light years away, then we're looking millions of years into the past, because that's when that light left that.
Yeah, the image is millions of years old.
Right.
Yeah. So like when I mentioned the Hubble Deep Field, we did it again when the new one went up. My brain has completely what's the new one?
James Webb.
James Webb.
The Webb. There we go. Yeah. We did another Hubble Deep Field type of thing with the Webb, and we talked about it way back when the Webb first became operational. Clues and I did a whole thing. It's on the Deep End channel, which, by the way, you should all go subscribe to, because videos are gonna start going up there much sooner than they ever have before. I'm actively working on them now. But anyway, yeah, they did that again, and instead of taking, like 2 weeks to get this ridiculous quality, it took like 2 hours, which blew my mind. But it's because of the nature of the telescope. It's a completely different animal than the Hubble, and we can see even further back. And it's actually changed some of our thoughts on the early universe, which we thought we had nailed down pretty well. But when we look further back, we're seeing things that don't match up, and we're like,
Yeah, and I think it's making the Hubble tension worse.
Probably.
Like trying to measure the rate of expansion. It makes the measurement based on the distance ladder measurement and the cosmic microwave background radiation measurement like even more solidly different from each other in what they imply.
So we're gonna have to, we as a species are gonna have to come up with, new ways to explain that, which they will. Don't worry. But like, the further and further we see, the more and more and more galaxies we see, and if we are the only, sentient thing that's ever popped up in the universe, and we're the only ones that are capable of looking out, that's a horrible waste of space. And it's also like mathematically improbable.
Mm-hmm.
Not
It
impossible,
just seems wrong.
but improbable that
Yeah.
among all the billions of years and billions and billions and billions and billions of galaxies, and each one having billions and billions and billions of stars, and each of those potentially making planets, like, it can't just be us. It just can't, right? Like, what? No.
We have not mentioned Contact, the film with Clarice Starling.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Thank you. Which was a fascinating film, and I know South Park and others made fun of it later for like, you didn't actually see an alien. That wasn't the point. The point was, again, humanity dealing with a message from the stars. But that's a message that's repeated in that film as well, is, there's so much out there. How could we be the only ones? And it's funny because they tackled that from both a purely scientific and, on the other side, a purely religious standpoint, and came to the same conclusion of like, how could it just be us? So, yeah, horrible waste of space, and mathematically just doesn't make sense. And I know we like to think of ourselves as super special, and I know Mike is. I don't know about the rest of us, but the chances of us being the only life to get to this point or beyond is just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
I like Contact. Did you guys see it?
I love Contact. It has
That's another one I missed.
Oh my god, dude. That is one. If you liked Arrival, you should see Contact.
Okay, awesome.
But it's got one of the most amazing shots ever put to film, with the little baby Jodie Foster character running towards something, and then it's the mirror, and if you've seen the movie, you're like, oh yeah, that.
It's been a while. I don't remember the shot you're talking about, but I'd have to see it again.
Yeah, like if you Google Contact mirror, it'll pop up Contact mirror shot, because it is. But anyway,
Yeah, I actually need to head out, guys.
okay. Want to throw out a final thought then, there, Zerk?
I do think we need to pick up this and later on, and we can focus on like humanoid type of aliens and their impact and everything. But yeah, I've enjoyed kind of getting to do all this talking and everything. So hopefully tomorrow we'll see how the swim meet goes. That's actually a big reason why we did the podcast tonight, is because we had a surprise swim meet. I found out on Monday, hey, by the way, senior night on Thursday, and
You
we're
should
gonna
let
have a
us
swim meet.
know. Yeah.
And I was like,
It's
So,
all
I let the guys
Dirk's
know.
fault.
Like, keep in mind, Dirk's one of the coaches. And
I'm the assistant coach, so.
They just sprung this on him.
But so with that, I'm heading to bed. You guys have a wonderful night, and
Night,
I'll talk
Zerk.
to you guys later.
Good night.
But yeah, like, I can see it from both sides. Like, on the one hand, they're like, well, what are the chances that we're the only sentient life out there? Well, I mean, 100%, because we're here. So to our knowledge, we are the only ones. But then, the further out you look, the more that becomes, like I said, mathematically improbable. But damn it, Dirk. I was leading up to something and I completely forgot what it was. Dirk threw me off. Hang on. Look distance. I did that. I'm trying to reconstruct my train of thought.
You brought up contact. Or Brian brought up contact.
I was gonna say no. I didn't bring up contact.
No, I'm confused.
Damn it. I love you, Dirk, but I'm gonna stab you next time I see you.
I brought up contact. So
Where was I going? Oh no. I was leading up to something.
Was it about the vastness and just the numbers, or was it about?
There we go. Okay, I was pointing out my thoughts on the existence of other things out there. Yes, I fully believe that somewhere out there, there are other, civilizations that are capable of, looking out and reaching out. But again, as far as we know about physics and the way the universe works, you can't get here. They're not here. They're not flying around. They're just not. Now, it could be that we're completely wrong about how physics works, which is, that's how science works.
That's happened
we're like,
before.
This is how it works. And then eventually they go, wait, no, this is different. And they go, well, piss. And then they reformulate. Like, science is constantly wrong about something. We don't know it yet.
And that's the nice thing about science is we learn and we adapt. We are not constrained like, science said, the earth was flat, so we have to stick with that. No. Science is allowed to change its mind.
Also, science never said that. Ever. To Brian's point, example in particular.
Yeah.
It was not common knowledge that the earth was flat. No, it wasn't. Never has been.
I know, that was just a dumb example, but you get what I'm saying.
But, again, as we understand how the laws of the universe works, you can't get here. It takes too long. Like, light is the hard limit, and the closest star. How far away is Proxima Centauri? Proxima Centauri is 4.2 light years away. So at the speed of light, which you can't do because of how the math works, if you're in order to reach the speed of light, you have to use infinite amounts of energy, and you have infinite mass.
Yeah.
Which you can't do that. So at a approximate, an appreciable fraction of the speed of light, it would still take a decade. But you can't go that fast. You just can't. It takes too much energy than you can. It takes more energy than you can get. So, and that's the closest one. So, yeah, I wish they were here. They're not. Anybody who's ever been abducted by aliens, they're having some sort of episode. If you've ever seen something in the sky and be like, that was UFO. UFO means unidentified flying object. It was not an alien. It was just a thing you didn't know what it was. I'm sorry. They're not here. They're not doing butt stuff to cows or to rednecks in backwater areas of the world. They're not lizard people in control of I love they live. That's not how it works. If we do, the first life we're gonna find is gonna be a microbial in water on like Europa or something like that, or in maybe even they're gonna drill into some water on Mars, into some ice on Mars, drill into the water, and they're gonna find microbes. Maybe like it's gonna be something like that. We're not gonna find whole ass people for a very long time, if ever, because the universe is just too big. There's too many stars. There's too many galaxies. The chances of us looking in the direction of one at the right time for them to have pointed something towards us, it's mathematically improbable. But having said all that, once again, I'd still believe it's out there. Just we're never going to talk to them. If we do, it'll be you can't even say 1,000,000 to 1 shot. It's like a Googleplex to 1 shot.
Yeah.
So, just to end on my usual realistic downer side of things, they're not going to come and wipe us out, but they're also not going to come and fix all our problems. We have to do one or both of those ourselves. Preferably the fix all the problems. Preferably that one. Ourselves. Can we work on that, please? I think one of my favorite examples of aliens in media is in Watchmen. Not the movie. For God's sake, not the movie. Because there weren't any aliens in the movie.
I was going to say Dr. Manhattan is not an alien, although that would be interesting.
But in the book, the big plan, instead of the big plan from the movie, is to replicate Dr. Manhattan's energy signature so it looks like he's turned on us, so we all unite against him. In the book, Ozymandias' big plan is to create a fake alien threat that shows up, wipes out New York City, and unites the planet as a single species against this unknown alien threat. And that's one of my favorite representations of aliens in media, because it's not. It's a genetically engineered creature. It's got the brains of telepathic people in it. And it had super early teleportation technology that caused it to explode on arrival. That causes the whole thing, the whole problem. But as far as anyone can tell, except for all the people that were instrumental in putting it together, who Ozymandias had killed, it's an actual alien threat, and it causes us as a species to come together as one. And I think that's really beautiful. Sure, he did a whole lot of terrible things in order to make that happen, but then he in Watchmen, by the way, it takes place in an alternate 80s where Nixon is still president, and we were like literally hours away from a massive nuclear exchange with Russia. Like, it was gonna happen, and he managed to stop that. So yes, he was the bad guy, but also he's kind of the good guy. Which is the whole point of Watchmen, is that it's very...
It's one of those Thanos snap things.
Yeah, it's one of the... Well, no, that was just wrong. With infinite power like that, he could have just made enough food to feed everybody. Instead, he's like, let's kill half of everybody. Thanos from the movies was so stupid, I hated him. Anyway.
I think the thought there was that if he just gave everyone the resources, they would absolutely just run through them again.
Yeah, but he has infinite power. He could have just kept doing it.
Yeah, but he didn't want to.
Yeah, because he sucked.
Yeah.
Thanos was not right. There was a whole movement. Thanos was right. Thanos was not right. Anyone who thinks that is wrong, yes, you. At least the Thanos in the comics destroyed half of life in the universe for love. Like, he was in love with death. And he's like, oh, this will make her love me. It didn't, but, his heart was in the right place. His cold, black, dead heart. Anyway. I don't know where I was going with this, but aliens aren't going to come save us. We need to save ourselves, was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else for this topic, or should we wrap it up?
I mean, I'm good. I'm glad we got as much out of it as we did. I thought it was interesting. Dirk's like, we got so much more to talk about. I'm looking at my list. I'm like, But hey,
Dirk wants to talk about Star Trek for 2 hours. Oh, we didn't mention Wookiees. Wait. Oh yeah, there was one more thing from the Discord that I meant to mention.
Oh, yeah?
Chifuji brought up the, I don't know how you say it, the Gauna aliens from the manga/anime Knights of Sidonia. Because they're so insanely not human. He said they seem to not have any interest in communicating with humans and are generally terrifying. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So there you go. That was one that I wanted to call it. Ben 10 was also mentioned, and Zaphod Beeblebrox in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Zaphod Beeblebrox was described as he was because it's radio. We don't have to show it.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought it was funny. So he gave him 2 heads and 3 arms. Whoops.
It's true. Theater of the mind. You can get away with that.
But oh well. Shall we wrap things up then, my dorks?
Yes. I mean, not speaking for everybody, but yes.
Yeah.
Go for it then.
So years off to kind of an interesting start. Some pluses, some minuses. Family's doing all right. We did rather suddenly on Sunday night lose our cat Chip. All of us we had lost our dog Apollo in October. He had many health problems. And then on Sunday evening, we were just sitting in the living room. I was playing some Dragon Quest 3 Remake, and Sam and Carrie were working on baking some banana bread, and Sam had just taken it out of the oven for the final time. Chip was on the couch, and then Chip just let out a screech, and I thought, well, that's weird. And I looked over, and he was just laying by himself. I thought, is he dreaming or what? And then he let it out again, and his tongue was sticking out a little bit, and his eyes were wide and were not blinking. I said, this is not right. And I went over, and he was non-responsive. Carrie said, once we made sure he wasn't like going to hit us or bite us or anything, he was just laying perfectly still. Carrie said she felt a heartbeat, but it turned out he had a heart attack, and so I took him to the emergency vet just to see if anything could be done, but it was tough, and it was the shock of it, like 5 minutes ago he was fine, and then he wasn't. So I'm sorry if that's a trigger for anybody, and certainly maybe I should have said something before then, but it was sudden, and the vet said he really wasn't in any kind of pain, which is good. But we lost another family member, so it's been a rough couple days. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with these guys. I'm glad to be here talking about something that really, when I suggested the topic, I was like, hey, maybe this will be a little fun, and everybody launched into it pretty, I feel like, effortlessly. I don't know that we really had to scramble for ideas for the last 2 hours, so
Not really.
yeah, I appreciate everybody being able to be here. And again, sorry to have a downer, but I want the takeaway to be that spend the time with the people and the animals and that you care about, because that's, forget all the other noise. That's the only thing that you can really do that matters. So, but here's hoping that the next 12 or so months will be good, will be a net positive, and that we can all hold on to each other in the really dark times.
Let's
now
hope so.
somebody say something that's not as serious, please.
Boobies.
Thank you. Well, no, those are always, well,
Oh wait,
no,
yeah,
they're not too
boobies is
serious.
serious business. How about you, Mike?
Let's see. One other thing that I thought about mentioning was some more about our humans' active efforts to find communications and communicate with aliens. There was a project called SETI, S-E-T-I, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. I don't know if it as a project is still up and running anymore, because I know for the longest time it's got most of its data from the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico that was severely damaged by a hurricane um, in 2020, and then just kind of collapsed on itself later that year. So that was a big downer.
I remember that. I was like, Jesus,
Mhm.
2020, could you give us a freaking break?
Yeah, I know, it was just awful all around. And then there's the optimistic golden records that were put aboard the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 probes that were sent on their way into interstellar space. I think Voyager 1 got there a couple years ago. Um,
Yeah.
to
Voyager
interstellar space,
2.
not to another planet.
Voyager 2 just recently I using no, Discovery recent just discovered like the boundary at the edge of our solar system had like a wall of, it was described for the media as a wall of flame.
That's cool.
It was like super hot charged particles.
Yeah. That I don't think they were quite expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That was
the
pretty awesome.
mysterious wall of fire at the edge of our solar system. Yeah. Sudden intense spikes of high energy galactic cosmic rays suggesting they pass through magnetic filaments or clouds, creating a wall of fire effect, not a smooth transition from in the solar system to out of the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's neat.
Yeah.
And that was in like November, October, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, very recently.
Yeah.
I love the golden records and all the thought that went into them. It's like, because it goes back to what was brought up when we were talking about Sphere, about the guy making all these, having to write up all these contingencies and ideas. Okay, well, what do we do if we actually meet aliens? And several of the other things that we've talked about before. How do we establish communications with aliens? So it starts with like super basic instructions for how to play the record and establish some baseline units of measurement, like all represented in a binary notation. The basic assumption being is that an intelligent, civilization had to have developed some kind of mathematics, so they have to be familiar with the idea of binary representation of numbers. It shouldn't take them too long to figure out that these marks here that are only like horizontal line, vertical line, is a representation of binary information, and then everything just kind of builds off of there for, okay, this is the unit of measure we're using to explain other stuff. It's based on this property about a hydrogen atom. This is Earth, relative to certain very distinctive pulsars that you imagine that this civilization would have also seen in the sky with their own telescopes. Here's how fast to play the record, and here's an image of the calibration screen that should show up first on the TV if you set everything up correctly. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, and they've got like a rough sketch of what male and female human looks like, and a like a triangulation of our location based on pulsars.
Yeah.
Which, like, that's brilliant, because if they're smart enough to figure out the rest of this, surely they know where pulsars are. Like, they've been able to detect those. And hopefully there's a periodicity that they can translate to their time scale.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not, though.
Yeah.
It was all very human. Like, it sounds really fascinating, but it's also very human centric, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, again, seeing things through our own lens.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, and even now, like, that's probably the best they could have come up with to put on a plaque going out into space, you know?
Yeah.
There was that audio signal that if you graph it in a certain way forms like a visual representation of humans and stuff. And I love that. I don't know how they ever expected anyone to figure that out. Like, they gave it to some of the best code breakers in the world and they got nothing. So, I can't remember what that was called.
Was that something else? Because I imagine if it was our...
Yeah, that was something else.
Okay. Yeah, because all the Voyager's equipment is like self-contained. It's like if you put the record on the player and set everything up correctly, then the screen and the speakers will play for you what we intended to play.
I can't remember what it was called, and I can't figure out how to search for it because anything I search involving the word audio and aliens and visual, I get the wow signal. I'm like, no, not that. The Arbo message. Here it is.
Imagine.
Okay, hang on. Arbo message. Oh, the Arecibo message. Well, why did... I was like, Arbo didn't sound right. Yeah, the Arecibo message... Yeah, it was a radio message carrying basic information about humanity and Earth. It was sent to the globular cluster M13 in 1974. But, like, you had to...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you have to arrange it visually. And I'm like, if y'all say so, I guess. It's got a little stick figure person. Oh. Anyway, sorry. We're getting final thoughts, right? keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that.
That was it. Those are just those other things I wanted to add about us making active efforts to communicate, and who knows? I mean, for the Voyager shot to work, it has to actually reach. It has to actually reach another civilization out there somewhere. So we just gotta hope it's pointed in the right direction and doesn't take 12 forevers to hit something, and it can be successfully captured instead of literally hitting something,
and then come back as a giant spaceship thing that threatens Earth or something.
Exactly.
I don't remember exactly the plot of the first Star Trek movie.
Yeah, basically, V'ger was just angry that it had been abandoned or whatever, and came back to wreck us all.
That's fair. We deserve it.
But we needed whales.
That was something else.
Oh shoot!
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a different world-ending crisis. Yeah.
So many.
Lord. Right then, well, for me, hey, you know what I haven't done in a while is plug all of our social media stuff. Mainly Blue Sky. Blue Sky, which is the Manipool .bsky.social. But if you search for the Manipool, you'll find us. Also, I do occasionally post the thumbnails on Instagram before the show goes, if I'm particularly happy with how a thumbnail turned out. So go follow us on those. Because I don't Twitter anymore because that's a toxic hellscape. Literally full of Nazis and bots. And Nazi bots? It's very strange. And yeah, I don't really fool with Facebook much anymore either, other than keeping track of the nonsense that's going on in the world through the lens of people I know posting about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing the weird slants you'll get on stuff learning about things that way. But yeah. Also, of course, don't forget to go to patreon.com/themanapool. Become a lifeguard. Like our fine mythic lifeguards here in, I don't know, this order. Ahem, this order. Stupid website. Kim Ho, Jason Doan, Jake Jansons, Team Hillis Haru, Jason Kaus, Al, Casey, Michael, Scuzzo. That's 3 different people. I think. ALK Alters, Violet in the Lilies. That's a new name. And Andrew Odie. Thank all of you so very much for your support, and everybody at every tier and everybody who hangs out. You know, if you can hear this, thank you so much. But seriously though, join the Patreon. Also, don't forget the show goes up on the podcast feed, and also the streamed version goes up on the Manapool YouTube channel. And seriously though, go subscribe to the Deep End, which is, I don't remember. It's been a hot minute since I actually looked at our information here. It is the Deep End TMP. There we go. I couldn't remember if I had a dash or an underscore or something in there. I do not, because I'm currently streaming on twitch.tv/themanapool, the same place the show gets streamed. I'm streaming Ninja Gaiden Ragebound right now. By the time this goes out, I'll be done with that, and I'll be working on Shinobi Art of Vengeance, because they're 2 2D ninja platformer legacy sequels, weirdly, that came out within a month of each other for popular video game ninja-based franchises that started in the 80s in arcades. The parallels are too weird than that. This is going to be a whole ass video. I can smell it. Comparing the two, because this Ninja Gaiden was an arcade game and then had home console releases that were super popular and then moved into 3D. And then in 2025 had a 2D game. And then Shinobi started in arcades and then had home console releases that were very popular and then moved into 3D. And then in 2025 had a 2D new. I can't even. Also, who doesn't love ninjas? England in the 80s. That's who didn't love ninjas. You ever heard of the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles? They couldn't say ninja in England in the 80s and 90s. And not like because they were using ninja to mean a different N-word. No. We mean ninjas. Anyway, this is spiraling out of control.
A little bit.
Oh, I was overly simplistic in my comment about SETI earlier. I was thinking specifically of a distributed computing project called SETI at Home. Like SETI is a blanket term for any search for extraterrestrial intelligence, not a specific project.
How dare you? Does this mean we have SETI at home?
The SETI at Home.
Oh my god. So with that bit of clarification and terrible joke, SETI at Home is just a guy with a radio receiver sitting under an umbrella in the backyard. I don't hear nothing, Ma.
Can we get SETI?
No, we have SETI at home, dear. Oh man. Anyway, this has been the Manapool number 742. Welcome to 2026. Hopefully it gets better. But I hope everyone out there is having as good a 2026 as you can. Just, since I don't want to alienate anybody, that's about the best I can do. So, yeah, this has been episode 742 of the Manapool. Like I said, thank you all so very much for listening, and don't get abducted by the aliens that aren't there.